Welcome to Accounting Life with Jotham Tai. Today's episode is Accounting and Technology. Our guest today is Emily Daigle, VP and GM at Zuora Revenue. On this episode, we talk about why accounting has lagged behind new technology, why embracing technology is critical for the employee experience, and how automation can transform accounting and improve employee retention. Now, our host, Jotham Tai.
Hey, Emily, how's it going? Welcome to the Accounting Life podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, I am super excited to have you on today. We're going to talk about order to cash and RevRec and all that good stuff. But before we dive in, just for our audience sake, if you can just share a quick background on you and your career and what brought you to Zuora today.
Yeah, I've always been a lover of numbers, and so back when I was graduating college many years ago, had the opportunity to work for Arthur Andersen, which shows my age a little bit. But when I was a senior in college, I was an accounting major. And so when I had the job offer from Arthur Andersen, all of my professors were like, well, of course you have to take it. So jumped right into the auditing world, very quickly realized that was not where my heart is. And so kind of evolved into industry and held a number of different finance roles over the years in traditional accounting manager roles, and then moved into revenue recognition, where I really found a passion for that. And as part of that, had my own consulting business for a while and helped companies find ways to automate that. And as such, actually ended up becoming a customer of Zuora's and implementing their formerly known as RevPro product, where we would actually implement a tool to automate that revenue recognition. And so I found, a lot of interest in taking my finance background and being able to do something a little bit different with it. And so worked on the implementation of that. And then ultimately ended up coming to work for Zuora to help others see the benefit of that. And now working in a go-to-market role that I never thought I'd see myself in, but really excited about the progression and how I got here, but kind of shows, all the different ways that an accountant can sort of shape their career, but now leading the go-to-market side for Zuora Revenue.
And that's fantastic. And it sounds like you're one of the few, and we'll dig into this a little bit further. You're definitely one of the few who has kind of gone from being in the industry and audit consulting Big Four. Back then I know Big Five, so the fact that I know it's Big Five, I've now aged myself as well, Emily. But it's, I think, important that people that understand how the mechanics of our processes work are leaders in the offerings and the solutions to help automate them. And there's just not enough historically, professionals like yourself that have made that transition. So, again, me being a fan of Zuora, and I think I shared before our call, I also go back to the Leo RevPro days. I've helped implement RevPro before, and the impact that solution has had to our industry is immense. I mean, just the lack of automation players in revenue alone is staggering, given the importance of it during audits. And so, I guess to take that point and ask a question about it, like, why do accounting orgs and the profession in general, why do we lag so much behind the technology?
Great question. I think of technology as sort of the unsung hero. I think the automation piece of that really elevates the teams. And so I do sometimes, I'm intrigued because accountants by nature are folks who always want to, get everything right, make sure everything ticks and ties, and do it in the most effective way. So it's funny, we spend so much time in Excel a lot of times, or historically I've seen organizations do that, but it's such a simple answer to that. And so I see when there are companies who do embrace that technology, it's amazing to see the transformation of those teams. And so I think as I see different organizations take on that automation, it sort of kicks off the next thing and the next thing. I also see those folks moving into new roles and new companies and coming back and sort of thinking, gosh, we made that massive improvement before. Why can't we do it here in my new role, my new company? And so I think, it's something that I'm seeing gain more momentum as folks kind of uncover what that technology can really do. But I do think it's just taken us a while to realize what the benefits are and actually see it. But the whole world is moving to, cloud technology. And so as finance and accounting teams embrace that as well, I think we're seeing more and more momentum in a way that teams are more open to what that looks like, and spending some or making an investment in an area that really, may not impact the top line. We're not growing revenue by automating revenue recognition, for example, or other accounting processes. But what we're really doing is being able to impact that bottom line and making sure we can cut costs and create those efficiencies. And then also really kind of changing the way employees work today.
Great. There are a lot of themes coming together. I mean, one I can testify about is just the amount of attention now that CFOs place on improvements and tech improvements that help the bottom line. Right. It wasn't that long ago, probably around the time I started Gapify, where the VC and investor community would say, "Hey, if you guys aren't top line generating, we don't care about those solutions." Now,
Right.
complete opposite. Right. Profitability matters. EPS matters. And now it's highlighting the deficiencies that there are in tech stacks across the organizations that we serve.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
beyond that, and just the desire for the newer wave of accounting professionals to be more tech oriented, I think it's a really good time to be, places like Zuora, Gapify, and other solution providers that are trying to make a difference in the profession. So I'm glad you brought that up, and I want to double click into order to cash specifically. So I'm going to date myself again for the second time, but I go back to the SOP 97-2 days, pre 0801.
Yeah.
And I mean, gosh, the number of data that you have to get right in that order to cash OTC workstream it's high volume and highly critical throughout the whole chain. So I'd like to ask you in your own words, Emily, why systems and automation within order to cash specifically and the revenue cycle, RevRec, and so on, why are they critical for the employee experience?
Well, it's interesting. I think sometimes when we think about that technology and that automation, we think of all the benefits from a customer perspective, but you just nailed it right there on the employee experience. I think accountants typically have potential that is capped. So I've seen this actually in my own experience over the years. I've actually lost some really talented accountants because they didn't really see a path to how they could be a strategic partner to the business. And so being able to kind of shift where accountants spend their time. So instead, you just mentioned all of that data gathering, right? I can remember having teams of people who just come in the morning, sit down with their cup of coffee, start running reports. And as one report's running, they go and, have a discussion on things that they're doing for the day, come back, rerun another report. And so they're just running reports. Then they're taking the downloads, pulling them together, pivoting and VLOOKUPing and HLOOKUP, all kinds of different things. And at the end of the quarter, doing that multiple times a day. And so, these are folks who are really bright individuals. They went to college to be very successful and keep driving their career forward. And these poor folks would come in and sit there in spreadsheets all day long, just kind of being the number cruncher. And so I think I've seen a huge shift, especially in that order to cash space with automation, where now that employee experience is evolving and there is a feeling of, like I said, being that strategic partner to the business. So having the systems take care of all of the running of the data, doing all of the things that would have to be done in Excel, and instead having all of that additional time to look into, like reading the insights, providing ways in which maybe their marketing teams or their product teams can go to market in different ways. And so I see the evolution of, the accountant, which at one point in time was very much, the bean counter, is now a finance partner to the business and really enabling growth and being able to feel a tangible impact to the business, which is something that like I said, have lost some really, really talented folks to in the past, and now seeing those types of individuals being able to be more elevated in their day-to-day jobs.
Well, I'd love to double down on that example, Emily, and just losing talented people because of the lack of automation gets me fired up, by the way. So I'm going to try to keep my
I
cool
do.
as I share this example. And I swear this was not planned. And there's a Zuora Revenue tie-in, but it's true story here. So a very talented senior revenue account at a pre-IPO company, ex Big Four, EY specifically,
Mhm.
became a senior rev rec accountant, and very little automation throughout that whole process, like Salesforce. They had an integration to NetSuite, so at least they have the opportunity. Sales order
Sure.
sync, which is great, but the billing was different. RevRec, big ass spreadsheet. Did I just say the A word? The whole the editors will bring that up, but it was so frustrating. I was consulting for them at the time, and this person just got fed up with the mundane, like, oh no, it's month end. I got to update that 30 meg spreadsheet again. It's
Mhm.
very error prone because I have to gather data from different systems, and it's just so hard to get right. I am tired of this. This was unfortunately three months before their Zuora Rev Pro or Revenue implementation, and he made the move to FP&A. He was just tired of it, and for the controllership, it sucked because he
Yeah.
was one of those high performing, high potential accounting professionals in their team. But he was like, "No, I'm not doing this." So he went over to FP&A. FP&A was also manual, so he's actually now a developer, and that's how these things can spin out of control, and it's happening too many times in our profession, which is why investment to solutions like Zuora, I think is critical. Not because obviously there's an efficiency angle to this, which is incredibly important, but
Sure.
just retaining talent in the profession is fundamental to our ability to prevent this mass exodus that's happening. So wanted to highlight and kind of support the point you made, because it, as you can tell now with my smile going away, it's something I'm passionate about. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah. And I think too, Jotham, it's interesting where automation and technology has really shown all of the different career options in accounting, which is something that I'll be honest, years and years ago when I went into auditing and I thought, my gosh, is this the rest of my life? Not a knock on any auditors. There are people who do that and do that well and love it. For me, that wasn't my path to feeling passionate. So once I found it, like I said, I never saw myself in a go-to-market role where I can help other companies understand and feel the value and the benefits of automation. But it really is amazing the different career paths that can be taken. Even just here at Zuora, we have a team of revenue advisors, and so they are really pre-sales consultants, but
Mhm.
we've kind of rebranded them as, or haven't kind of, we have rebranded them as revenue advisors because they are the trusted advisors. They are all folks who have been accountants, who have been in those nasty spreadsheets that you just talked about, but wanted something different, wanted something more. And so now they have come over, and so they go talk to prospects and they see what kind of challenges they're up against, and can speak very genuinely to the issue, because we're all so passionate about it. It's all that same, taking our accounting backgrounds and turning it into a very different career that a lot of folks have said, this is never where I saw myself, but now, never dreading another Monday morning, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 1,000%. And there is one place that we accountants should not take our talents to. It's doing spreadsheets. I mean, I have been a big advocate of the profession for a long time because of what you just mentioned. It opens up so many doors into other areas within or beyond the accounting profession that is incredible opportunities for the profession to provide. So in your case, you're able to go to a go-to-market role. But for those that are just, really just allowing themselves to get swept by the wave that is a month-end close and spreadsheets, and that's hopefully where we as an overall profession and industry can really band together and figure out how to get folks out of there, because that's to me one of the fundamental reasons for the mass exodus that we're seeing. Um, and I guess as a last question before we wrap up and tying all those points together, how does automation turn accounting into more of a value center? And in your words, how can it impact employee retention ultimately?
Yeah, I think, it's kind of the same themes that we've sort of talked about. I think there is a huge benefit to the automation side of the house, the actual technology, the business value. I think there's some major unlocks there, especially if you think about the macroeconomic world we're in today, right? It fluctuates on the daily, unfortunately. I mean, we've gone through COVID, we've gone through some terrible things going on in the world, and at the same time, what we're able to do is keep moving forward. We're able to build sustainability into all of this, because now we have ways to be more effective. There's cost cutting measures. There's ways that enable people to not have to all access the same spreadsheet at the same time. We can all be in our respective locations, with everybody moving, through everything we've been through in the past few years. And so I think there's just an overall benefit to the business, but even more so, and it's often overlooked and kind of forgotten about, is that employee experience. And I think being able to give those high potential employees a true platform to be able to show their true potential, to be able to reach their goals, but also be able to see where their path might take them. I love that accounting does not have the same knock that it used to, because I take it kind of personally. I'm a proud accountant, and I think at one point in time it was like they're the boring bean counters, and they don't have a life because all they do is work. But that's shifted. And so I think being able to see the different areas that accountants can reach, it's been really inspiring, and I think gives the whole industry a new name, but also provides new paths. And so I think to me, that is the most exciting part of it, being able to figure out where those options lie, where the true benefit and elevation of the whole industry really lies. And so I think at the end of the day, if there is a way you can both benefit the business and your employees, it's going to help them retain those employees, but also help build your business, because you want those valuable employees, but you don't just want them there in a spreadsheet. You want them there in an impactful manner, because if you're keeping them, but you're keeping them in there in spreadsheets, that's still not helping your business. So being able to empower them with the right technology to be able to elevate your business too is really important. So it becomes, a benefit to all in that sense, even when you're not really thinking of it that way. But, I think gets people spending less time on the weekends, maybe not having to ring in the new year with their coworkers with I always joke, a Dixie cup full of champagne at 12 o'clock midnight, because I'm sitting there working with all of my coworkers on New Year's Eve. And now I can go home and enjoy it with my friends and family.
Oh, that brings awful memories. I used to be, and I think I shared this on a recent recording, Emily. I used to be the guy that brought the 4th of July barbecue to the office, because that fell under quarter close. And
July
I
30th.
still, oh, I'm so
June
bummed about
30th. Forgive me, June 30th. Yeah.
June 30th quarter close. Yeah, July 4th. The CFO used to call it an occupational hazard, but I think gone are those days, and it should be. And I'm glad to see that. When I first started the profession, the name of the game for accounting was find as many accountants as possible to get the work done.
Yeah.
And we accountants actually, to our fault, we were very loyal about making sure that we did our part to get jobs done. But the accountants of today were more strategic, collaborative. Analyzing data is important to the nature of our profession, and without the technology to support us being able to do that, we're going to be relegated to spreadsheets. And this is why I was so glad to have you on today, Emily. And we'd be very grateful if you came back for another episode. I'm sure there are areas within revenue that we can drill out into that also kind of impacts this whole theme of retention that's worth talking about. But for now, definitely appreciate you taking the time, and I definitely want to say thank you to the Zuora team and organization for their leadership position and in order to cash. I mean, you guys have done an amazing job of transforming that part of the accounting cycle. And the leadership here is more important than ever before in terms of preventing the mass exodus that we're seeing, unfortunately, in our profession. So yeah, hope to have you back soon, Emily, and thanks again for joining us today. And hope to see you next time.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And I'm always willing to come back anytime we can talk accounting. I'm your girl.
606-0801-972. We'll cover all that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jotham.
Thanks for stopping by. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you want more information, please check us out at gapify.com, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.